Yo, what up, guys? It's Flark. Yeah, I had to make an emergency video because they nerfed our spec again. It's pretty big too. You can see it right here on the screen for October 8th. It's going to be Death Coil Dam, Virulent Plague, Frost Fever, Blood Plague, all 15%. That is our pad damage, so our overall output, and our single target pressure from Death Coil, our huge spender that does a ton of damage right now after the rework from Dragonflight Season 2, which I gave them to do in the first place. So here's my thoughts on this. Unholy obviously was pretty dang powerful, and output was a huge problem because it just, you put your Raise A-Bomb down with Riders and you just simply did nearly unhealable damage. And the good news is none of that Rider stuff is nerfed. So still Undeath and Trollbane's Icy Fury, all of these things will still crank, and the pets themselves, the Rider pet. But there is something very frustrating about this. So first, to answer the question, is Unholy dead? No. Is it F tier? No. Is it D tier? No. C? No. It's still probably like A, right? It's not S+++, but it's A+, maybe. Its output is very good, so this just tones it back. And it does hit the big abilities, for sure. But it's not a dead spec. What is frustrating, though, so here, now I will tell you something where you can doom a little bit. Here's a spec right below it, getting a tiny nerf in comparison, completely microscopic. And Feral has an AoE pad build with bleed build, which is completely nauseating. And it has single target burst with bite. And it has great survivability. And it has great base capturing or base defending. And it's great in threes. And it has a ton of great threes comps. So what's frustrating here is not that we're getting nerfed, but specs adjacent to us or even better are getting barely touched or buffed in the case of Frost Mage, because you'll notice there are no Frost Mage negative modifiers here, but the Frost hero talent that they do play is getting buffed in every way, including just raw mastery buff, which is just damn. Is this crazy buffs? No, but they're a fantastic spec getting buffed. We're a fantastic spec getting nerfed, and Feral is a fantastic buff barely changing. So out of the three fantastic specs you see here, only one of them is getting gutted. Well, that and Aflock, so pour one out for our Aflock buddies who are also getting destroyed here, right down at the bottom. So what is wrong with these changes are not that Unholy is getting some tuning nerfs, right? Not that our crazy output is getting brought back a little bit, but that they don't address, they crush Aflock, they crush Unholy, they don't change Feral, they buff Frostmage, they just don't know what is the top of their own ladder, right? They somehow don't know. These are four fantastic specs, two of them getting destroyed, and two of them getting completely untouched to buff, right? So that is the issue. There's another issue that it lies with our other spec, Frost DK. Now, obviously, I've been a big proponent to the Frost DK rework because it is actually really good, and Frost is way more fun to play now. It's still extremely underplayed, and they did nerf it 3 times, probably because of my excitement. But you can look, there's two specs, actually, 2 melee specs right now that are pretty underplayed. Demon Hunter and Frost DK. Demon Hunter has been buffed the last 3 times. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't need these buffs, but just hear me to the end. Demon Hunter's been buffed the last 3 times. The last thing that happened to Frost DK was a nerf. And here's an image right here. Some representation above certain rating in 3s, right? Frost DK is not even on this chart. Demon Hunter is right here. It's a tiny little blip, right? Demon Hunter is not represented well. Frost DK is not even on the chart, right? Frost DK, the last thing that happened to Frost DK was a nerf. The last thing that happened to Demon Hunter was 3 buffs. They're taking Demon Hunter, they're like, oh, this spec is bad, let's buff it. They're taking Frost DK and saying, that's what they're saying, right? So this is a huge problem. Now, I was very high on Frost DK, and I'm actually the highest Frost DK in BG BLITZ right now because I think it has a lot of utility in that bracket. But because they see, I don't know, because they see this and they hate when I'm happy, I don't know, they over-nerf Death Knight. They over-nerf Frost. They buff the other bad specs, and they don't look at Frost ever again. They're like, it hit big numbers, nerf it, never look at it again, right? We saw that it hit big numbers, and then nerf it and never look at it again, right? That's a huge problem. And you can see again, Feral, Frostmage, Aflock, BM, there's Unholy, right? Okay, Unholy can be brought down. It's very, very good. But what about Feral? What about the Frostmage that you just buffed, right? It's like you took the purple and the red and you're like, yuck! And you took the blue and the orange and you're like, yeah, that's fantastic. They had a PowerPoint, right? for class changes. You know, they proposed the class changes, and here was their rationale, right, for Feral Druid staying as is. It's just one slide. The PowerPoint is just one slide. It's Feral Druid, fine. Oh, sounds good enough to me, right? They have one slide on the PowerPoint, and they're Feral good. Feral is okay. They go from slide 2. They're trying to arrow key over to slide 2. There is no slide 2. One slide is enough. That's all they needed to know. Feral is fine. So this is really gross, obviously. Not because Unholy didn't need to be tuned back, which it does, but because everything else that needed to be tuned back was not. Look at that disc priest representation, by the way. It's kind of silly because it's bad in BG Blitz because it can just get stolen by Death Knight, but its throughput in 3s is unbelievable, and Prez is phenomenal in BG Blitz and still fantastic in 3s. And look at the other healers down there. I mean, this is just sad. So recent tuning decisions from Blizzard have been tone deaf. They have nerfed some things that needed nerf. They've nerfed Warrior like 6 times, right? They've nerfed some things that needed nerf for sure. They've buffed some things that might have needed it and buffed some things that might not have even needed it. They're not addressing the right situation at the right time, right? When they do a nerf, it's almost like they're taking one thing. They have a hat full of names of specs that are really good right now, and they just pick one, and they're like, destroy that one. Well, what about the other ones? Couldn't we tune everything back? No, just take one out of the hat and destroy it, and then we'll do something else later, right? They need to be more properly addressing all of the problems at once than just like pick and choosing something to completely annihilate. Fury. And I'm not even a Warrior player. I'm not even a Warrior main, but Fury just kept getting hit and hit and hit. And Feral is just laughing. They're like, ha, soon you're going to be F tier, and we'll just be sitting up here dodging every single... I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Yes, Fury needed to be hit the first time, maybe even the second time, but what about the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth? And again, these specs are just completely dodging it. It's like they want those specs to stay exactly the same and everything else to get worse and worse and worse until the graph is even more... of a disparity, right? So their tuning this expansion has been tone deaf, and hopefully we can do something. So maybe we can reach out. You can post this video everywhere. You can ask them why they're just missing the mark on certain specs. They have nerfed certain things properly, but you have to nerf everything properly, or certain specs will just retain their unbelievable godliness and get better every time their competition is nerfed. That's a huge problem. So they have to go back to the drawing board and say, wait, what actually is all of the stuff that's super powerful, and change that? Because again, look at this. Feral, slap on the wrist. DK destroyed. DH buffed, but Frost DK nowhere found. Hunter, slap on the wrist. Mage, slap on the wrist. I mean, yeah, okay, so their slow is really annoying, but so is their unbelievable damage that's just getting buffed. All spamming Iceland, so it's all instant cast, completely unpeelable. And you've got some other changes here. Most of them are pretty good, like Fire Mage needs buffs for sure. Ellie needs buffs for sure. Aflock did need to be tuned back. I'm not sure it should be this much. I'm not sure if it should be tuned back this much when Feral gets to be a better Aflock than Aflock is. Demo needed buffs and Warrior needed buffs. Arms Warrior needed buffs. So that's what's frustrating to me. There are changes here that make sense, but they don't tell the full story. They don't attack all of the problems, and they don't buff all of the things that are in trouble. They just do one thing, and they're like, that's perfect. We changed one thing correctly. But the problem is there's an entire game on your hands, and it all has to be tuned properly at the same time. Otherwise, something's going to go way crazy, and something's going to be absolutely unplayable. So yeah, feel free to share this video around. It's very frustrating. I do, like I said, the synopsis is I do think Unholy is still going to be good. I'm just frustrated alongside you guys because things that were also insane didn't get you. Okay, we're on the same page. And yeah, Frost, I played in BG Blitz, is actually really good there. In Solo Shuffle, I guess I'm just not allowed to be happy because it probably would have been A+, maybe S- even, which is just good, like just really good competitive viable spec if they didn't nerf it a bunch of times. And now it's just nobody plays it, so. There you go. We're frustrated. I understand. I will keep trying to make this class work always. Unholy will work. I mean, that's not a make it work thing. It's just really good. But I'll keep trying to make Frost work. We'll hope that Unholy tuning comes along with some other tuning for some other specs. And share this with everybody that you know that plays DK. And see if we can create enough of an uproar to at least understand why they're making the decisions that they're making. So, hope this season continues going well. Again, you should still be totally playable, especially in BG Blitz, because we just press grip and chains anyway. And I hope this season's been going well for you. I'll be having a lot more content coming out. So you don't have to worry like that I'm just going to be disappearing again. I play literally every day on stream, all day, every day pretty much. So if you want to come watch me, you know, queue it up. I'm number 1 DK right now, Frost DK, so I'll keep trying to keep my title. So thanks for watching, and I hope that things get better from here. GG's. Peace.